Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to recap and explain a recently released movie called Cellar. The story begins with John and Sera, a couple deeply in love with the prospect of a baby. Sera juggles her professional life as a college professor alongside preparing for their baby. John works as an architect at a prestigious firm. At his workplace, John crosses paths with Alyssa, a colleague and former romantic partner. While John has moved on, focusing entirely on his family, Alyssa still harbors feelings for him. Despite her attempts to rekindle their relationship, John firmly distances himself, making it clear that his priorities now lie with Sera and their future together. One day, while John was busy showing a property to his clients, Sera began to experience sharp labor pain. She tries to call John, but he doesn't answer. By the time John finally learns about Sera's condition, it's too late. He rushes to the hospital, only to be met with devastating news: their unborn baby's untimely death. Grief consumes them as they process this heartbreaking loss. Overwhelmed with guilt, John apologizes to Sera, acknowledging that he should have been by her side when she needed him the most. As days pass, Sera's sadness increases and the house starts to haunt her as she had painted it in anticipation of the baby. She says, "I can't stay in this house anymore. We need to move, to find a new place where we can start fresh. Somewhere quiet." John, deeply in love with her, agrees without hesitation. Determined to support her, he sets out with her to explore potential new homes. However, every house they visit fails to meet their expectations and budget. The real estate agent, after a few rounds, says, "Why don't you guys visit Emmett?" He knows this neighborhood very well. Intrigued and slightly desperate, John and Sera decide to take her advice. They drive out to a large, secluded house perched on the edge of a wooded area. The house is grand, almost too perfect, and standing at its doorstep is Emmett, who welcomes them inside. The house is breathtaking, with high ceilings, ornate wooden furniture, and intricate details that speak of its long history. Sera is particularly drawn to its charm, and even John seems impressed. As they settle into their surroundings, Emmett begins to chat with them, sharing stories about the house. Over dinner, which he insists they stay for, he offers them drinks and recounts a peculiar tale. "When this house was bought, we discovered a trove of ancient artifacts buried at different places, and we found it during the renovation. Instead of discarding them, I decided to incorporate them into the house's design." Curious, John wanders off to inspect the relics, while Sera listens to Emmett. As the evening progresses, Emmett asks the couple about their plans. What brings them here? Does a house make them happy? Sera hesitantly replies, "We're looking to start over. We need a new beginning, a home where we can leave everything behind and move ahead. It's not the particular house we are looking for, just a home where we can be at peace." Emmett, with a big sigh of sadness, says, "This house was once a home for me, but right now it's just a house." He asks these guys to stay for the night as it is getting dark and wants to continue his talks in the morning. Sera and John agreed. They spent the night intimately after many days. In the morning, John and Sera prepare to leave, only to find that Emmett is nowhere to be seen. On the dining table, they discover a stack of papers, a note written by Emmett himself. Emmett explains, "This house holds memories too painful for me to bear. Memories of my wife and daughter. I can no longer stay here, and so, I am leaving it entirely to you two. The house is now yours, with one condition: there is a cellar door. You must never, under any circumstances, open it. The day you do, I will return and reclaim the house. Papers are with the agent." John and Sera are puzzled. Sera is excited about renting the house free of cost, while John is hesitant. He thinks something must be shady and dark, as no one would show generosity to strangers. But he falls for Sera's insistence to stay here as she thinks they have hit the lottery. The first few weeks in the house are blissful. They were happier than ever, and to celebrate, they hosted a housewarming party, inviting John's co-workers Stephen, Zach, and others. Apparently, Zach had brought Alyssa with him, which shocked John a little as he was not accepting her here. During the party, he gets cornered by Alyssa, who declares her love for him. However, John again firmly rejects her, making it clear that their past relationship is over. Alyssa, unwilling to let go, tries to press further, but John shuts her down rather angrily. As the evening progresses, an uninvited guest appears, a strange man named Paul. His appearance and eerie demeanor unsettle the guests. When John speaks to him, Paul issues a chilling warning: "Leave this house before it takes everything from you." Paul's cryptic message leaves John uneasy, but the others dismiss him as a lunatic. The next day, while leaving the house, Sera met her neighbor Catherine Connard, who welcomed her. She was happy to see new people again and hoped that they would stick around. Apparently, this house had a history of tenants leaving it rather abruptly. At the office, John's troubles escalate when he learns that Alyssa has filed a sexual harassment complaint against him. The company's HR informs him that he is being suspended until the matter is resolved. His friend Stephen advises him to come clean to Sera. John returns home but cannot bring himself to tell Sera the truth. She was finally happy here after a troublesome time. He pretends normal life and acts like he is going to the office daily while actually sitting at the house. Soon his mind fixates on the cellar door. Why did Emmett forbid them from opening it? The mystery nibbles at him. After some days, he decides to inspect it, but its key is missing. Frustrated, he confesses his curiosity to Sera over dinner, suggesting they investigate the door together. Here, Sera is adamant and says, "No, John. We can't. It was Emmett's only condition. If we open that door, we'll lose this house. I'm not willing to risk it." As tension between them grows, John agrees to let it go, for now. The next day, while Sera is away on her job, he visits the city records office. He requests the blueprint of the house and discovers an unsettling fact. Paul, the strange man who had warned him to leave, had asked for the same blueprints a year ago but never collected them. The records officer looks surprised upon hearing about Emmett. He says, "That's the name I haven't heard in over 25 years. His wife and daughter vanished mysteriously one night, without any particular reason." This broke his heart and he left the house soon after. John takes the blueprint home, and while studying it, he notices an alternate route to the cellar, a hidden path under the staircase. Following the map, he opens the secret passage and descends into the basement. To his dismay, the cellar appears completely empty. But as he explores further, he finds another door, a reinforced one. He drills a hole to sneak a peek but stops abruptly as he hears Sera's car arriving home unexpectedly. He quickly closes the passage and keeps the discovery to himself. At night he calls Alyssa to sort out the situation. He meets her in a secluded parking lot and pleads with her to leave him and his family alone. Alyssa, furiously, retorts, "That house should have been mine, John. We should have been together. If you have loved your wife, then why did you have an affair with me?" Unable to answer this, John watches in helplessness as she storms off. That evening, John returns home but doesn't share the encounter with Sera. The next morning, Sera discovers she is pregnant. Overjoyed, she begins planning for their future and their baby's room. She stumbles upon the blueprint John brought home and decides to investigate the cellar herself. She sees John's attempt to drill the hole. While she is down under, we see Alyssa at the door. She calls for John and Sera but no one answers. She moves upstairs to look for them, where she sees happy photos of the couple. This unsettles her a little, and in Sera's room, she finds out about the pregnancy. By the time Sera rushes up, Alyssa is gone. Outside, at some distance away, John notices Alyssa's car speeding away and decides to chase her, fearing the worst. Despite his efforts, he loses her on the way. Here John returns home late, fearing Alyssa might have revealed everything. But to his surprise, Sera shares the news of her pregnancy, filling the room with momentary joy. However, she also confronts him about the cellar and the broken promise to leave it alone. John apologizes and promises never to go near it again. Together, they reseal the passage, vowing to move forward and focus on their growing family. The next morning, John receives a call from his company. They inform him that the sexual harassment allegations against him have been dropped, and he has been cleared of all charges. Relieved, he feels a weight lifted off his shoulders. He goes to his office after many days and his friend welcomes him. In the evening, as they start to paint the baby's room together, John notices a bullet lodged in one of the walls. The discovery alarms him. He immediately concludes that Emmett might have killed his wife and daughter, and hid their bodies behind that cellar door. That is why he is insisting on not opening the cellar door. John wanted to inform the police about this, but Sera stopped him. She just wanted a stress-free pregnancy this time without getting in trouble. She preferred a status quo. So reluctantly, John agreed. The next day, while on lunch with her neighbor Catherine, Sera learned that no family had ever stayed in that house for a long time. All of them left ambiguously. Catherine also mentions bumping into Johan during the day on his run many times in the past month, which surprises Sera. Just then she sees the news of Alyssa being missing for many days. Police had found her abandoned car and were actively seeking help. On the same night, she sneakily reads John's office email about clearing him of all charges, which shocked her. At the same time, John also discovered that the bullet he discovered from the wall matched the revolver at the showcase. All the guns at the house were of Emmett, so his suspicion grew even further. The next day he brought up the issue of opening the cellar door again, but Sera again shuts him down. Just then they were interrupted by two detectives who were looking for John. They asked Sera to leave as they needed to question him privately. Instead of complying, Sera hid herself, listening intently to their conversation. "The last call Elisa received before her disappearance was from you?" asked one of the detectives. John sighed and said, "She was my colleague. We had an affair. She wanted us to be together, but I kept refusing. I tried to explain it to her that day in the parking lot. I told her we couldn't be together, and that she needed to move on. But she wouldn't listen. That's the last time I saw her. After that, I don't know what happened to her." The detectives weren't convinced and asked on the 14th, in the afternoon, "Where were you?" Before John could answer, Sera revealed herself and said, "He was with me. I was pregnant that day, and he stayed by my side." The detectives, finding no immediate fault, left. But John's troubles were far from over. Once alone, Sera confronted him. "Why didn't you tell me any of this? I loved you, John, but the day I lost our baby, the day I was in that hospital bed, I called you repeatedly. You didn't answer. You were too busy with her. It was never sexual harassment, it was consensus." John's face fell as he muttered an apology. "I made a mistake. I got carried away. Please forgive me." Sera kicked him out of her room for the night in a rage. While sleeping on a sofa, he couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was hidden in the basement. The next day, desperate for answers, John visits Paul to confront him. Paul's face was grim as he revealed the truth. "This house has taken everything from me, my family, my happiness. It inflated my ego and darkness. Made me believe I deserved such a house. I was ready to do anything to keep the house, even at the cost of my marriage. I got addicted to alcohol and things went south from there. My regret is that I didn't open the door. That night, I came to warn you and to burn this place down. But now, it's too late. This house will destroy you too. Leave while you can." Still, Paul's warnings weren't enough to satisfy John. He returned home, determined to uncover the basement secrets. Ignoring his wife's pleas to stop, he made his way toward the forbidden door. But before he could open it, Sera struck him, rendering him unconscious. When he awoke, she was standing over him with a gun. John stared at her, stunned, and asked, "What are you hiding?" Sera began to confess. "The day Alyssa came to this house, she wasn't just here to talk to you. She wanted to speak to me, to explain everything. But I didn't trust her. I was furious, and in a fit of rage, I shot her. She died instantly. I hid her body in the basement and drove her car to a lake to make it look like she'd vanished. No one could find her. I had to protect us." John was horrified hearing this. Sera, with eyes filled with tears, continued, "I did it for us. If you open that door, it'll all come crashing down. You have two options: stay silent and start over with me, or tell the police and let them think you killed her. The choice is yours." Basically, Sera put John in a tough situation as police were already suspecting him. If he revealed the truth, then he will be behind bars for sure. Hence, with no option, he chooses Sera to keep quiet. But this incident certainly created a divide in their relationship. Months later, as they prepared for a baby shower, a strange letter arrived at their home. It read, "It was from Emmett. Congratulations on your restraint. I'm pleased that you didn't attempt to open the door. As a token of my gratitude, here is the key. What you do with it is entirely up to you." Sera and John stared at the key with mystery, as the basement loomed larger than ever. So, what is going on in this movie? Emmett had a nice and happy family. But one day his wife left him with their child without any reason. This broke his heart. He thought he knew his wife but never imagined the dark feelings she had. The Cellar Door is a psychological game or test by Emmett, designed to reveal or manipulate the couple's inner conflicts and secrets. The cellar door symbolizes the buried truths or fears within their relationship. Because of this, Paul and many like him before struggled at this house. Sera, being a strong, determined woman, literally blackmailed John to stay here, as for her the family was above all. She had lost her baby before, so motherhood had its influence on her. In the end, John's friend jokingly asks, "Did you find out what's in the cellar door?" To this, John too sarcastically says, "Yes, all the bodies are buried there." He will never open the door, but it had certainly left a dark patch on his mind. This is an average movie. Hope you liked this video. Please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.